Good morning, members of Parliament, support staff, radio listeners, TV viewers, all following this meeting via social media. Members of the media, again, good morning to all. I welcome you to this Central Committee meeting of Parliament for today, Wednesday, October the 9th. This is Central Committee meeting number 1. We have established a quorum. We're just ensuring of how many members. We have 9 members and sufficient to have this Central Committee meeting without any third parties. And I invite you to stand for a moment of silence. Thank you. I have a notice of absence from MP Egbert Duran. And are there any other notifications from the floor? At this time, no. So then we can continue with the agenda points actually for today. The first agenda point is the advice regarding the installation and composition of the permanent and ad hoc committees of Parliament. The second advice is the advice regarding the installation and composition of the committees of the Latin American Parliament called Parlatino. So going over to agenda point number 1, in accordance with Article 21, paragraph 3 of the Rules of Order, at the beginning of each parliamentary year, as well as in the first public meeting after a periodic resignation or after the dissolution of Parliament, the President of Parliament assigns the members to the permanent committees for the investigation, so-called vooronderzoek, of certain subjects, and to the committees, or the committee rather, for petitions, unless Parliament decides otherwise regarding the committees. By letter of September 20th, 2024, the faction leaders were requested to submit the desired composition of the permanent and ad hoc committees of Parliament for their faction to the Secretary General of Parliament, and based on the received proposals from the factions, an advice was made. A total of 17 permanent and ad hoc committees are being proposed for the Parliament of St. Martin. It is noteworthy to mention in this regard that the Committee of Kingdom Affairs and Interparliamentary Relations comprise only of the faction leaders. As stated in the advice, the guidelines for travel of members of Parliament, which were approved back in 2015, this is applicable for all work visits of Parliament. And furthermore, for work visits in connection with national holidays of the other islands within the Kingdom, former Netherlands Antilles, a maximum of 4 members will be able to attend, each from a different faction, in accordance with a rotation schedule that Parliament maintains. You have received the proposals for the committees of Parliament, and thus I ask if there's any member of Parliament who wishes to take the floor on the first agenda point and the proposal to this Central Committee. Any member wishes to speak? We are with on agenda point number 1, which is the permanent and ad hoc committees of Parliament, just that we distinguish between the 2 agenda points, the first one being the committees, which include permanent and ad hoc committees of Parliament. So I see no member wishing to. Yes, we do have a member. We have MP. We have MP York. Oh, and MP Roseberg had also. You pressed your button. Oh, that's okay. Okay. So it's we'll just wait one moment, and yes. Now we go, okay. So now we continue, and I offer the floor to MP York. MP York, you have the floor.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Good morning, Krifi. Good morning, everyone. Madam Chair, I would like to submit a minor change, for the ad hoc committee preparation and construction of new parliament building. My person was not part of the original submission, and I would like to add that now. And on behalf of MP Doran for Committee of Petitions.
Thank you, MP York, for that suggestion. Is there any objection from the Central Committee to this proposal by the faction of the NA to add MP York to the ad hoc committee for the new Parliament building and to add MP Durant to the Committee for Petitions? MP York, could you please state that last part that you...
And the Committee for District Councils for my person.
And so that is 3. The third one, the third proposal from the faction of the NA is then that MP York takes part in the Committee for District Councils. Are there any other comments regarding the permanent and ad hoc committees of Parliament? No. Now, yes, we have MP Roseberg. MP Roseberg, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Blessed day, Griffier. Blessed day to my colleagues as well, and to the people of St. Martin. I also would like to add myself to another committee, Committee of District Councils, please, Madam Chair. And that's it. Yes.
Thank you, MP Shamira Roseberg. So on behalf of the URSM faction, the proposal is that MP Roseberg be added to the Committee for District Councils. Are there any objections to this proposal by the faction for an addition to the proposal which is before the Central Committee meeting? That not being the case, that would be added to the proposal that we have before us. The members of Parliament, if there are no further comments on this particular agenda point, the first agenda point for this meeting, the advice as amended in this meeting will be sent to the public meeting for further handling and ratification, and as I mentioned, of course, with the amendments as proposed. Members of Parliament, ladies and gentlemen, we now go over to the advice regarding the installation and composition of the committees of the Latin American Parliament, Parlatino. Again, in accordance with Article 21, Paragraph 3 of the Rules of Order, at the beginning of each parliamentary year, as well as in the first public meeting after a periodic resignation or after the dissolution of Parliament, the President assigns the members to the permanent committees for the investigation of certain subjects and to the Committee for Petitions unless Parliament decides otherwise. It has become customary that at the same time that the committees of Parliament are established, the same is done for the Parlatino committees. By the same letter of September the 20th, 2024, UV 024, Parliamentary Year 2024-2025, the faction leaders were again requested to submit the desired composition of the committees of Parlatino for their faction to the Secretary General of Parliament. And based on the proposals as received from the faction leaders, an advice was made, which is the advice before us now in this Central Committee meeting. It is being proposed for members of Parliament, as per their submission, to be part of a total of 13 Parlatino committees. As I mentioned earlier, the guidelines for travel of members of Parliament of 2015 is applicable for all work visits. In addition to that, I want to indicate that we are looking at these guidelines in the context of the advice that was received from the General or the Chamber, but for now, the guidelines of 2015 are applicable. It is suggested that for all committees of Parlatino that consist of 3 or more members, every time a maximum of only 2 members travel in accordance with a rotation schedule. For example, member 1 and member 2, member 3 and 4, 5 and 6, etc., etc., in order to participate in the committee meetings of Parlatino. The proposal from the Presidium is that the request to the Central Committee to approve the proposal as all members have received and which has been shared with the members of the committee. Is there any member who wishes to take the floor on this topic? We have MP Kotai. MP Kotai, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon to my colleagues and those tuning in as well. I'd just like to make mention that I'd like to be added to all Parlatino committees as well.
Thank you, MP Kotai. That would then be, you are currently on two, and you would like to be added to the other committees of Parlatino. Yes. Is there any objection to the proposal of MP Kotai to be added to the other Parlatino committees than those that he has currently indicated? There is no objection. This will be included in the report. Is there any other? Yes, we have MP Lewis. MP Lewis, you have the floor.
Good afternoon, Chair. Good afternoon to my fellow colleagues. I would like to second the request of MP Kotai that I be added to all. As I have received the documents, I went through them, but now reviewing them thoroughly, I think it's of great importance that I be also part of all the Parlatino committees.
Thank you, MP Lewis. Is there any objection to the proposal of MP Lewis to add himself to the Parlatino committees as established by Parlatino? No, I see no objection to that. And I see MP Roseberg, have you requested the floor, or is it no? It's not. Okay, so when I see your name appear, I guess we have to change things up there. Okay, so members of Parliament, I want to, let me make sure there are no further comments. No, they're not. And thus, I want to thank the members of Parliament. And as with the earlier advice, the advice will be sent to the public meeting for further handling and ratification. As adjusted, of course, as amended by the request as put forward during this meeting. So, members of Parliament, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of this meeting, and I thank you all for your participation, and I hereby close this meeting. Thank you once again.